Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Chairman Graham and Ranking Member Feinstein. I want to take a moment to honor the life and legacy of Justice Ginsburg. She was a living legend and a giant in the legal world as a professor, as a lawyer, and as a judge and a justice. She was an inspirational model and role model, and we honor her legacy. And I just want to make sure that her family knows the nation mourns her loss. But today we're here to consider nomination of a highly qualified jurist to the United States Supreme Court, Judge Amy Coney Barrett. She's a top legal scholar, a professor in the mold of the late Justice Scalia. Her work is widely respected in the legal community, and it's clear why her former students voted her multiple times to be the Distinguished Professor of the Year at the Notre Dame Law School. It's also why every full-time faculty member of Notre Dame Law supports her nomination. Her legal work and teaching have inspired hundreds of young lawyers, especially aspiring female lawyers. She's a remarkable mother. She has 7 beautiful children. And in spite of being busy working as a Seventh Circuit justice, she makes time to be involved in her community. And this nomination is important because it's going to have a lasting impact on our republic. A justice service on the bench involves every important issue facing our constitutional republic. What are the limits of abusive and intrusive government power? What's the proper role of each branch of government? And what are the fundamental protections that our Constitution grants all Americans? These are foundational questions for the Supreme Court, and they consider them every single term. If confirmed, Judge Barrett will be tasked with answering these questions, and I believe she's going to do a great job. But it's not the rights enshrined in the Constitution that's most important. It's the structure of the document itself that ensures our freedom. Justice Scalia understood this. He was fond of saying, every dictator in the world, every president for life has a Bill of Rights. That's not what makes us free. What makes us free is our Constitution. Think of the word Constitution. It means structure. Justice Scalia went on to note the genius of our founding generation is that it dispersed power across multiple departments. The real danger to our constitutional republic is centralization of power in any one part of government. When that happens, liberty dies and tyranny reigns. That's why it's critical that Supreme Court justices maintain the proper role. They decide cases, they don't make policy. In recent decades, the court has drifted towards a trend where it decides majority disputes over policy rather than reserving those decisions for the American people through acting through their elected representatives, people like those of us in the U.S. Senate. Article 3 judges cannot and should not be policymakers. We've heard many speak today about policy priorities that they'd like an activist court to pass. Several of my colleagues have engaged in fear-mongering and described Judge Barrett's nomination as an end to health care, abortion rights, labor rights, and the list goes on and on and on. These statements are unfair and they're untrue. This week, they'll attempt to have Judge Barrett commit to policy outcomes rather than do the work for that policy outcome in the U.S. Senate. Just last month, while they were falsely claiming Judge Barrett's nomination would bring an end to the protections for pre-existing conditions, every single Democrat on this committee voted against a measure that would do just that. They're failing to do their job, and they want the court to do it for them. My review of Judge Barrett's record convinces me she's not only one of the most qualified individuals ever to be nominated, but she also understands the proper role of the Article 3 branch. She reaches conclusions dictated by the law, not by personal preference. That's the right thing to do. My Democratic friends decry the idea that a nominee has predetermined outcome in mind, while in the same breath, they demand the nominee agree to their preferred outcome of a case. The hypocrisy is incredible. They ignore a central fact. Judge Barrett's rulings aren't meant to be for or against a particular policy outcome. She's not a legislator. That's our job. However, when the minority can't get their bad policies passed in Congress, they turn to the courts to demand that judges interpret the law not as written, but as they prefer. Her opinions simply order the outcome the law dictates. As passed by Congress, a politically accountable branch, nothing more and nothing less. My Democratic colleagues claim they care about the First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. If they care about our constitutional liberties, then they should care about confirming a judge who understands the proper role of the Supreme Court. Rights granted by 9 can just as easily be ended by 9. To quote Justice Ginsburg, real change, enduring change, happens one step at a time. It doesn't happen by judicial fiat. Judge Barrett understands that principle. She knows the role of the Supreme Court Justice, and she is highly qualified to do this job. Judge Barrett, when I met with you in the Capitol, I asked you to sign 2 pocket constitutions for my 2 granddaughters. And in it, you wrote, dream big. When they're old enough to understand the significance, I'm going to explain to them that just like Justice Barrett, they can, with hard work and determination, realize their American dream. So for the next few days, when members of this committee mischaracterize your views, their allies in the liberal media are saying terrible things about you and your family, stand tall, stand proud, and stand true. Rely on your faith. I know that you're an inspiration to millions of young women in this country, like my granddaughters, and we're proud of you. Thank you, Judge Barrett, for being with us today. Congratulations on the recognition of your hard work and your character. I look forward to hearing your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.